Hi, my name is Mike Duke. I work with a company called Career Development Partners. I head up the executive search practice for the company. In the process, over the last several years, I've had a lot of working with my clients and understanding exactly what they're looking for when they interview a candidate. I want to share some of that with you. So I'm going to give you the 10 common strategies for how to crush an interview. This is not how to answer questions. This is strategies for crushing the interview. One, I'm going to say that it's really important to understand that the best person for the job doesn't necessarily get the job offer. It's always the best interviewer that gets the job offer. Two, I'm going to tell you that you live in the world of information and you have the ability to research that company before you go out and visit with them. And you should know the company's products, you should know the company's history, you should know what makes that company uniquely different from their competition. You should have that kind of information in your head as you walk in. We also, number three, you should research the person you're going to interview. You can find that person either by title or name on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is a great resource for researching people. You should not go into that interview like a stalker and say, hey, I found out all of this about you on LinkedIn. But just in normal conversation, you can drop a few things. You can say something like, I noticed that you attended the same college I did on when I looked at your profile on LinkedIn. Something that would just be soft and part of the conversation, but do your research. Number four, I'm going to say that you should practice the 19 most commonly asked questions that are asked in an interview. And I've linked a list of those questions in the description here on this video, the 19 most commonly asked questions and how to respond to those questions. You should do mock interviews. You should rehearse. You should not get into the interview with your brain racing, trying to figure out how you should respond at that moment in the interview. You should have already thought it through. All right, and then let's talk about number five. Make friends, be charming, even out in the lobby when you meet the receptionist. You know, I used to, after I interviewed somebody, I would, and they were gone, I would walk out and ask the receptionist, what did you think? What was the impression they made on you? And of course, she hadn't interviewed them. All she got was maybe a smile. All she got was a vibe, but the receptionists pick up on that. So I want you to be charming and to be making friends with everybody you meet. You just don't know who's involved in the interviewing process. And then number six, uh, keep your answers short. I can't tell you, especially you extroverts out there that give long answers and tell long stories. Just think about the math on this. If every answer to a question took 5 minutes, if you were asked 10 questions, that would be 50 minutes. You would be right at an hour and with just 10 questions. So get your answers short and crisp and confined to about a minute. And then you'll be doing a really good preparation for the interview. The next, number seven, body language. Practice in front of a mirror, but look at yourself when you respond to questions and see what your eye contact looks like. When you're sitting in that chair, are you sitting up or are you slumped down? Are your legs crossed? Are your arms crossed? What kind of signals are you sending out? You know, the way body language works is people don't just hear what you say, they actually see what you say and they feel what you say. So make sure that you practice in front of a mirror as you give your responses to the questions. And then I'm going to recommend that you take a portfolio. A portfolio just a nice looking leather bound book that inside you would have several copies of your resume in case you meet some extra people that you weren't planning on. You should have maybe a business card. And if you're currently between jobs, the business card could just be your name and your contact information. You should have a list of questions that you're going to ask them. You know, when they come to that point in the interview and they say, do you have any questions for us? Yes, I do. And you should pull your list out and ask a few questions. And then take some notes during the interview. You know, it's okay to look like you're really interested in this job. And if you're taking notes as they make comments and tell you a little bit about the company history or whatever they're speaking about, take a couple of notes. Let them see your interest. Number 9, sell yourself. You know, I think that we have been taught from childhood to be modest. Don't be bragging. Interviews are not the place to be modest. You need to be ready to tell your story. You need to be able to sell yourself. And you know what sells the best is accomplishments. You need to have 2 or 3 really good accomplishments that fit the job description and fit the company that you're interviewing with, where you can say, we had this problem, I took this action, and I got this result. You need to be able to do that and have those 2 or 3 accomplishments ready to sell yourself. Don't be modest in an interview. And then the final thing I'm going to recommend, number 10, for an interview is ask for the next step. It's a very soft way to ask what is the next step. And let me tell you how to grade your interview. When you walk out to the parking lot and you go, how did I do? I can't tell you how many people I've debriefed on interviews that they thought it went great. And then when I debriefed with the client, it didn't go so good. Everybody thinks they did a great job. So here's the one mark on whether it was a great interview or not. Did you get a next step? If you're supposed to come back, if they're going to call you, if you got a next step, that was a great interview. If there's no next step, not so good. So use these 10 things to help you crush the interview. I hope that you go out there and you land that job and you crush the interview. You have a great day. I'll talk to you again soon.